Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, our source material takes us somewhere, well, really quite special. A place in Vrindavan, India. We're looking at a spot that's considered not just water, but basically liquid love. Pure, concentrated love made manifest.
That's Radha-Kunda. And our mission today, really, is to get a feel for the absolute spiritual significance of this place.
Okay.
We'll use the stories, the pastimes, around its appearance to see why it's seen as the most sacred spot anywhere, really.
Yeah.
And we're focusing on one incredibly dramatic moment
Which is
when the Supreme Lord himself, Krishna, actually bowed his head and begged for permission.
Wow. Okay, yeah, let's definitely unpack that. We've got some amazing sources here spelling out why this place holds such divine love and purity. But the story starts, kind of ironically, with some necessary violence, doesn't it?
It does, exactly. It's fascinating. The birth of this incredibly sacred place, it starts with a battle. Krishna, in his youthful days in Vrindavan, he fights this ferocious bull demon, Aristasura. And this wasn't just some random monster. He sort of represented gross materialism evil, disrupting the peace.
Right, charging into the pastures.
Exactly. So Krishna had to step in. He subdued him, ultimately killed him. A big dramatic showdown.
So, victory for Krishna, he's the hero, but then the immediate result, that creates the actual problem, spiritually speaking.
That's the absolute key pivot point, yeah.
Yeah.
When Aristasura died, his blood, well, it spilled out, formed a pool right there on the land. Now, even though Krishna did it, and he's the source of everything,
Right.
the act of killing, especially a being embodying vice, resulted in a kind of contamination. According to deep Vedic principles, that spot became, let's say, spiritually impure.
Impure because of the demon's nature.
Yes, and the violence inherent in the act. Krishna could obviously purify anything, but he chose, in this pastime, to honor the standard set by pure love itself.
Okay. So, he's won, the demon's gone. And then in this playful mood, Krishna turns to Sri Radha and her friends, the gopis. And he says, basically, come on, bathe in my new pond, cleanse yourselves. Seems straightforward, right? A victor's gesture. But Radha's reaction...
Her response is, well, it's profound. An absolute refusal. Just,
right.
She saw the pond's creation, even though necessary, as tied to violence, to strife. And that just wasn't compatible with her own mood, her essence, which is pure, untainted devotion. Prema.
Wait a second, though. Krishna's the supreme. He could zap that impurity away instantly, couldn't he? Why did Radha need to refuse? Why the whole performance of making a new pond?
Yeah, that's a crucial point. It wasn't about challenging his power, not at all. It was about establishing a higher standard, a purer one.
Higher than Krishna's own actions.
Higher in terms of mood. Radha embodies Radha Bhava, this totally selfless, unconditional love. She was basically saying the highest spiritual reality isn't dictated by power or even divine necessity, but by pure love.
Wow.
And that love has to be completely untouched by conflict. So, by refusing the contaminated pond, she was essentially declaring that purity needs its own space, its own manifestation, right then and there.
And this refusal then sparks, what, like a divine competition. Radha says, okay, fine, we'll make our own pond right next door, establishing this new, pure standard that even he has to recognize.
Exactly. It's this incredibly personal, intimate challenge. And the sources, they really emphasize the gopis' determination, the speed.
How did they do it?
Get this. They didn't use shovels or anything. They started digging the new pond using their bangles, their delicate, jeweled bangles.
Seriously, bangles?
Yes. And they carried the soil away, not in baskets, but in the corners of their own saris.
Okay, digging a whole pond with bangles and saris, that sounds impossible. Is that literal or more like a metaphor for, delicate but intense devotion?
It's really both, I think. The physical description shows their incredible commitment, like no effort is too much when it's driven by pure love, but the speed of it all confirms it was divine. The moment the hole was dug, Radha filled it. Instantly.
Filled it how? Must have been miraculous.
Well, completely. And how she filled it immediately established its superiority. She called upon the sacred waters of Manasaravara,
which is
a lake from the spiritual world itself, not just any water. This instant infusion of purely transcendental water meant Radha-Kunda wasn't just free of earthly contamination.
It was inherently superior.
Exactly. Superior to anything created, even by Krishna, through an act involving the material energy and, violence.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, right? The core of our deep dive.
Yes.
Krishna's reaction. He sees this stunning, spiritually perfect pond created by Radha. What does he do?
He's just blown away, utterly overwhelmed. It wasn't just admiration. It was captivated. This was Radhabhava, her loving mood made tangible, geographical.
Right.
And he immediately declares it. He says, because this pond came purely from Srimati Radharani's love, it's infinitely more dear to him than his own pond, Shyamakunda.
More dear than his own creation. And then comes the moment, the climax that, as you said, changes everything. The paradox people meditate on forever. The supreme personality of Godhead, source of everything, controller of the cosmos. His head, he physically bows down and begs Radha for permission to bathe in her pond.
He begs. This single act just completely reframes the God-devotee relationship. It shows love trumps power, essentially. Why beg? Because he accepted her standard. Radha-Kunda was pure, uncontaminated, superior.
So by bowing,
he was seeking the mercy of his own devotee, of Sri Radha. He was acknowledging her domain, where her loving mood reigns supreme.
So it wasn't just politeness, it was a real act of submission, a self-imposed submission to the highest form of devotion.
Precisely. That unparalleled humility, that's the ultimate proof of Radha's supremacy, Radhabhava. It confirms Radha-Kunda is the ultimate place of prema, pure love.
And that devotion, it's so powerful it can actually make God subservient to the devotee's loving will.
That's the understanding. The goal for the seeker isn't just to love Krishna, but to cultivate that mood, that bhava, which captivates him completely.
That is, profound, really shifts the dynamic. But if this place is so incredibly important, how did it end up neglected for centuries? That seems hard to believe.
Well, time happens, Historical shifts, political turmoil, they take their toll. If we fast forward quite a bit, when Srila Prabhupada went back to India, starting his global mission, he was apparently devastated. Radha-Kunda, the very heart of this tradition, was just overgrown, weeds everywhere, silted up, almost forgotten, just a small, muddy pool, hardly recognizable.
Wow. Like a spiritual ruin needing, a complete resurrection. So what was the plan? How did they restore it?
It became absolutely central to his work. Prabhupada immediately told his disciples, many young Westerners, then to reclaim it. Imagine the challenge, though.
Yeah.
These are Western devotees, new to India, trying to get land in this tiny, ancient, super sacred, probably somewhat suspicious village. Bureaucracy, finances, culture. It must have been a huge hurdle.
So way more than just spiritual cleaning. A major practical material effort just to secure the place, clean it up, navigate everything.
Absolutely. They had to buy properties around it, build facilities for pilgrims, physically dredge out centuries of silt and neglect. But maybe even more importantly, they reestablished the regular chanting, the worship, the curtain. That's what makes the place spiritually alive again. It was a physical and spiritual reclamation project. Heart surgery for the tradition, you could say?
That focus on the physical place, the reclamation, it really highlights why this spot is so crucial for anyone on this path. It makes me think of Prabhupada's famous line that anyone who goes to Vrindavan but doesn't see Radha-Kunda, their journey is incomplete.
That statement sums it all up, really. Radha-Kunda represents the highest perfection possible for a seeker. That specific mood, Radhabhava, that intimate, selfless love for Krishna embodied by Radharani. Miss that, and you've kind of missed the whole point of going to Vrindavan.
Okay, so let's talk practical application. For the listener, the learner, what are the real benefits of approaching this place, or even just meditating on its meaning from afar?
Well, the sources are clear. It's the ultimate purification spot. Externally, yes, bathing there is said to destroy past karma, sinful reactions. But the internal effect, the deeper one, that's far more important for someone serious about spiritual life.
Which is?
Washing away the anarthas.
Right, anarthas. We hear that term. Can you unpack it a bit? In terms of our everyday spiritual struggles, what are they?
Yeah, think of them like weeds. Spiritual weeds growing in your heart, choking out pure devotion. They aren't always big, obvious sins. Often they're subtle things, like pride, envy, wanting material gain from spiritual practice, or that deep desire for recognition, for name and fame. Just like the demon's presence contaminated the physical pond. Our hearts get contaminated by these internal selfish desires. They block love from really flowering.
So approaching Radha-Kunda, or even just meditating deeply on Krishna bowing down, that acts like an internal cleanser, removing that subtle ego that stops us loving purely.
That's the idea, precisely. For the really dedicated seeker, Radha-Kunda is the ultimate destination because it helps you offer the deepest prayer possible, asking for eternal service to Krishna and Radha, specifically in Radha's mood.
And the great teachers, the 6 Goswamis, they spent their lives meditating right there on the banks. Their prayers really nail this goal of attaining Radhabhava.
They did. They saw that the highest prize wasn't liberation or heavenly planets or anything like that. It was just a single drop of that selfless love found at Radha-Kunda. That was the ultimate treasure they were seeking.
Let's just pause on that Goswami prayer. I know that the gopis' love found at Radha-Kunda is the only thing worthy of attainment. My mind hankers for the treasure of a single drop of that love. Wow. That really puts the whole spiritual quest into perspective.
It frames it as acquiring spiritual wealth, doesn't it? Recognizing that the mood Radha-Kunda embodies, that's the most valuable thing there is, something even God submits to willingly.
So wrapping this up for you, the listener, Radha-Kunda isn't just water. It's effectively Srimati Radharani's liquid heart, right there, accessible. It's where the Lord himself goes to, well, kind of drown in the ecstasy of pure love.
And knowing this story, this pastime, means even if you can't physically go there, you can connect with its potency. Through sincere prayer, through meditation, the pastimes are alive whenever we remember them and try to internalize their lessons.
So we'd encourage you maybe to carry this thought, this intention. What does it mean to really pray for service? To ask, oh, Srila, please somehow let me enter the ocean of your service. Let me just have a drop from the kunda of your mercy.
Let that ultimate act of humility, Krishna bowing down, guide your own search today. Trying, in whatever small way, to make your own heart a place where that loving mood of Srimati Radharani, the mood that conquered God, can reside.